As many of you know, Pokemon cards have been going crazy the past couple of years. We've seen some unhinged moments from people fighting over Pokemon packs, OnlyFans models trying to promote their content through Pokemon card openings, and a lot of people being scammed on platforms like Whatnot. And although the Pokemon hype is back and bigger than ever, we are finally getting some justice in the community. And that means that Pokemon scalpers are crashing out. The same people who bought up all of the ETBs and packs from Target and Walmart and flipped the $5 Pokemon packs for $50 are now crying because they have bricks. And honestly, casual fans and collectors have been waiting for this moment. So going back a few years to lockdown, the boom of Pokemon scalping really began. Pokemon cards hit mainstream again with the release of new video games, as well as influencers, streamers, and nostalgia. And the price for certain sets like Shining Legends went through the roof. Over the span of a couple years, it seemed like everyone who was reselling sneakers and consoles now moved onto Pokemon cards. The hobby slowly got infiltrated with scalpers, and this wasn't the fault of the casual collector. These scalpers saw Pokemon cards and kids' toys as a quick cash grab. And instead of enjoying the hobby or just letting the hobby be what it's supposed to be, they turned it into stock market charts and profit margin. I guarantee if you go into your local Target or Walmart right now, you won't be able to find any sets of Pokemon cards. But if you open up the Facebook Market app on your phone and do a little bit of scrolling, you'll be able to find sellers with dozens or even hundreds of Pokemon packs. As this problem got worse, some stores had to start stepping in to prevent the scalping. Most of the stores began putting limits on the number of items you could buy or lock cards behind customer service desks because these grown adults are physically fighting over the $20 Pokemon tins. Local game shops also became infiltrated, seeing scalpers camping outside before deliveries and grabbing all the stock before kids even had a chance. This culture created a new gold rush where everyone was buying anything that they could get their hands on. And there are multiple reasons why scalping sucks and the practice is overall unethical. They ruin the accessibility for kids and genuine collectors. They inflate the prices on sets that might not even be that popular or that good. And they create artificial hype and dump product before it cools down. Pokemon cards are meant for kids. Now, I would argue that a majority of the audience are actually adults, but these scalpers and resellers are preventing kids to even get started into the hobby if they want to. I have yet to see a video where kids are trying to scalp Pokemon cards, but I have seen plenty of them where grown men are buying up the cards while the kids are in the corner crying. And that's not just greed. That is one of the most low-life, pathetic, and embarrassing things to do as an adult. And if you're buying Pokemon cards to sell rather than buying them to enjoy them for what it is, you're no longer a part of the culture, you're just exploiting it. If I happen to get lucky enough to see some Pokemon cards sitting on the shelf, I'll usually buy them. Now, I'm a casual Pokemon collector. I've collected for years when I was a kid. I kind of got out of it for a little bit, but after revisiting some of the OG games like Emerald, Ruby, and Sapphire, I kind of got back into the hobby a little bit. But I understand the pain for genuine, real collectors. I mean, these people who have been collecting for years and years, regardless of popularity, are now seeing scalpers who don't care about the cards buy up all of the stock. All of these real collectors who want to build decks, trade, or fill binders have no chance anymore. And parents of kids are also screwed because now they have to pay resale prices just to get a pack or a set for their kid's birthday. But all of this came to a head when people got so greedy that they began to physically fight over the cards. As popularity rose, fights began breaking out in store locations, and Pokemon had to release an official statement about restocking. A lot of people who never grew up with Pokemon or really genuinely cared about the culture began buying heavily into the recent sets. But what we've been seeing with some of the less popular sets like Journey Together is that the secondary market isn't biting anymore. A lot of singles like the Umbreon and Charizards and just all of the chase cards are slowly dropping in value. And a lot of the sealed products that these resellers have been holding onto are dropping in price as well. And because of the popularity of previous sets, resellers have bought hundreds and hundreds of packs. And it is so satisfying watching the people flex about the easy money that they were making now beg to break even. The thing about it is that any set that has popularity is going to sell out regardless. But the scalper economy only works whenever other people are feeding into it. The more patient that genuine collectors and fans of the product products are, and the longer they wait, scalpers will be stuck with the product and have no option but to sell for a loss. And this is a positive thing because even though some of these sets are less rare or less popular, you can go on eBay right now and see dozens of listings of the same sealed box where sellers are undercutting each other just to unload their inventory. All of these guys who bragged about having thousands of cases of Pokemon cards are now essentially sitting on a mountain of unsellable cardboard. And I mean, don't get me wrong, these sets still have value, but if a reseller is paying market or a little bit above market and they try and sell it with all of the selling fees, they might lose money after all of the expenses and overhead that goes into it. As the Pokemon company has been pushing out more and more packs, we've been seeing this happen with some of the other sets as well. A lot of the time you can go into stores and find some of the less rare sets like the battle style sets, which these sets really aren't as valuable. And some of these TikToks are showing scalpers begging viewers to help them out by buying at their inflated prices so they no longer lose money. I don't think anyone feels bad for these people. But regardless, Pokemon has always been focused on the community. Collecting, playing, and nostalgia all play a huge role in the market. For the kids, it's about trading at lunch or showing off the cool cards that they recently got. For adults, it's about chasing all of the cards that they couldn't afford when they were kids. But the scalpers have missed the point entirely. They're treating Pokemon like it's crypto. But Pokemon isn't the same as Bitcoin. It's a card game with cycles of hype and cooldown. The thing that I've always loved about Pokemon is that it's built around a culture of community, memories, and just having a good time with your friends. I remember all of the times as a kid that I would trade cards with my friends at the lunch table. None of us cared about the value or rarity of them. We just thought it looked cool. I even have some old cards that I found recently that are worth some good money now that I realize now I probably should have taken better care of. Compare that to the culture now where scalpers are bragging about how much profit they made on their ETBs. What story do you think fans will care about in the next 10 years? Scalpers have ruined the hobby by reducing everything to a dollar sign, while the collectors are the only ones who actually genuinely keep it alive through tournaments, trading, and just having fun together with shared nostalgia. And I feel like there's just such an obvious crash of culture between these two groups. One side is celebrating the cards and the fun that comes with it, whereas the other side just celebrates the money. And the thing about it is that the general community has a consensus that they all agree that scalpers suck. Whether you go on TikTok, Reddit, or Twitter, everyone has the same general idea with this. Nobody has sympathy for them. There is no way to sustain fake hype forever.
Pokemon's market crash is working, and we are seeing the price of things go way down.
But the good thing about this is that even though it's only happening with certain sets, the crash is a healthy and good thing. Essentially what it means is that the bull run is done and that the hobby is finally stabilizing again. We see this with every industry. Markets always rise and fall. And yes, the special sets are always going to hold more value than the main sets. And this shows that buying sealed product just to sit on for a couple years doesn't necessarily mean it's guaranteed profit. These scalpers who are making videos about this getting burned is proof of that. And I can reiterate over and over again, if you love Pokemon, collect it for the love of the game, not for the profit. If you're only in it for the money, you're always going to be chasing the next trend and catching an L like these resellers did. Just like any market, it will soon correct itself, and this cycle will show who is really in it for the cards and who is in it for the money. And what's really cool to see is that the people who bought to play and enjoy don't care about market dips. They still have their cards, but the scalpers only care about the numbers. The same crash happened in sports cards and in sneakers a few years ago. History repeats itself, but these scalpers will never learn. It's like, yeah, you can make a quick buck in the short term, but in my opinion, you can't build a legitimate business around something that is going to be gone in a year or two. And at the end of the day, you're providing no real value. Selling overly inflated cards on the internet to other adults is not a flex. And it's just pathetic to see how far this has gone. But luckily, the tides are turning. And so what is the state of the market looking like right now? The prices for the mid-tier sets are now stabilizing, and we're seeing a lot of the big chase cards slowly drop in value. But they are still holding their value. It's not a complete dip. And I've noticed this with myself, but the accessibility to getting them is a little bit better as time has went on. If you're tech savvy enough to go on the internet to check for restocks, you'll probably get lucky enough to buy something at retail. And every once in a while, you could go into a store and be able to find a pack or two. And since a lot of things are dropping in value, I think this might be one of the best times to become a collector. Ignore the scalpers, wait for retail, and just enjoy the hobby. This crash that we're seeing is just the market correcting itself. We see all of the big hype cycles come and go over the years, but the current stability is really good and positive for the long-term health of the hobby. And as we see all of these Pokemon scalpers crashing out and not knowing what to do with all of the stock they bought, I feel like it's just beautiful to watch. This will also help in the long term to be able to get the packs and sets that you really want. Just be patient, wait it out, and maybe in a year or so, you'll be able to get everything you want at a good price. Let all the scalpers just drown in their own greed. I mean, think about it. If every collector and genuine fan decided not to buy a single card again from a scalper, all of these hundreds of packs that we're seeing people hoard to resell will just drop in value and they'll have to sell at a loss. And although it's really sad what these scalpers have been doing, at the end of the day, Pokemon is for collectors and kids. They're not for all the people who don't care about the hobby and are just trying to make a quick buck off of other people. But let me know what you guys think about the state of Pokemon right now. Are you glad the prices are coming down? Do you feel like some of these sets dropping is going to be a consistent thing? Or do you feel like it's just because some of them are just not as popular? And if you like content like this, feel free to check out some of the other videos on my channel that are similar to this one. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.